Good morning, everyone. Great to be with Nigel Richardson today of the Secret Hamper company. Morning, Nigel.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Excellent.
Nigel's on a mission to warm the hearts, actually, of NHS staff around the country. It's fantastic, and I can't wait to learn more about him, more about the mission he's on. So, Nigel, we'll start. What's your favourite word?
My favourite, family. So
you might have just answered number 2, actually. What gets you up in the morning?
Yeah, well, yeah, family. Yeah.
What do you truly honestly think of social media?
Used in the right way, it can be an amazing tool. The problem I think we've got these days is there's lots of pressure, peer pressure on the younger generation. There's lots of people on there advocating that they can just go on there, sell a product and get paid millions of pounds and stuff.
There's no work like that.
It doesn't work. Real life's not like that, sad to say. But used in the right way, which we can come to in a bit if you like. I connected with somebody, I've got a mutual friend, Jason Valve. I connected with him on social media, and it's quite poignant because I used Jason's juices years ago to treat my dad that had a terminal illness. And cut a long story short, we're now in his latest book, which is unbelievable. And hopefully this will become like a friendship for life. So used in the correct way, it can be a very powerful tool.
The power of social media.
Absolutely.
Kindles or books?
Books. Yeah, kind of like
Jason's book.
Absolutely. So there we go. Look, oh, there's the camera. But you don't get that same smell with a Kindle, do you?
You don't.
So
what do you think the biggest challenge your industry is right now? And let's say
for me at the moment is I don't have the multi-million-pound budgets like some of these big firms. We want to become known as a home of random acts of kindness. Yes, of course, you can go online and buy a gift anywhere, predominantly Amazon, I guess. But we want to put that sort of feel-good factor and that meaning behind it, not just a click on the internet and job done. We want people to stop and think about what it is that they're buying. We tend to say to people, when you use Secret Hamper, you're not just buying a hamper full of goods, you're actually buying an experience. And we want people to get that same thing that I felt the day that I performed a random act of kindness. And that's pretty much the foundations this business is built on.
That's lovely. So it's much more impactful than just simply kind of pressing a donate button.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
what did you want to be when you were growing up?
An astronaut. I can tell you that straight away. And the reason I didn't become an astronaut is because back in the 80s, so I'm giving away my age a little bit. I watched.
Days,
yeah.
all the cool kids.
Absolutely, and so basically, we watched on those big old-fashioned TVs. The teacher wheeled it in to our class, and we watched the space shuttle launch. And it was unbelievable seeing something like that. I mean, I've grown up with the Thunderbirds and all that kind of thing. So anyone that's that sort of era will understand how that felt to watch a space shuttle take off. And the following day, we had a social studies class, and they were asking, what we wanted to be when we grew up. So we had the usual: it was a bank manager, it was, policeman, train driver, that kind of thing. And it got to my turn, and I put my hand up and I said, I want to be an astronaut. And there's a few little sniggers in the class, and the teacher pulled me up at the front and said, "Don't be so stupid. Why are you aspiring why would you aspire to something like that?" And and he thought I was Mickey taking in the class, and actually got given the slipper.
Oh.
And to a certain degree, up until recently, I kind of changed my mindset a little bit, because when there's been like big career decisions over the years, I've kind of remembered that and thought, I can't do that. And I think now that I know a bit more about stuff and everything else, I think my subconscious has gone back to that time and it's embedded in there. So I've had to kind of reprogram myself a little bit to say, you know what, you can. Yeah. If you really can. And I've met some amazing people, and we'll probably get to that a bit later, but met some amazing people on this journey that just go to prove that if you really want to do something, you really can do it. So.
Boom to that.
Yes.
What led you to your current career?
I worked in a city for a number of years, had a fantastic career, very thankful for all the opportunities it gave me, but there was something missing, and I'd never really explored that entrepreneurial streak that I thought was inside. And it probably again stemmed back to the astronaut scenario.
That teaches a lot to us.
Yes, yeah, astronaut gate. So we, so basically, a few opportunities have come along in the past. I tried a couple of like work at home type franchise type things that I could do in my spare time along the job, but it wasn't really viable. It was in the days of dial-up.
So it wasn't singing to your heart, was it?
No, it wasn't. And I was getting home from work and I was turning on the the dial-up on the internet, and come sort of 10 o'clock it kicked into life, and then I had no interest to do anything. So it never really went anywhere. And then I was in that sort of safe environment where I had a sort of nice income coming in, but then things happened. Like my dad, out the blue, fell poorly, and that was start to finish 6 months, and that really showed me, it was a bit of a wake-up call, and I was like, blimey, it's life is really too short. So I then started to get those feelings back again to try and do something for myself, but then
you needed the vehicle.
Yeah, you did. And then there was nothing, but then obviously life happens, right? So Andrea fell pregnant with her first child, Gracie. So she came along and put some happiness back into her life, because to be honest, I was a little bit angry with the world for a while after I lost my dad. And,
one of the stages of grief, isn't it?
Yeah, and I beat myself up a bit for a while, because I kept saying if I was more successful, maybe I could have helped him and helped cure him. And we went down some different routes, one of which, funny enough, was Jason Vale's juices, which, hand on heart, did help him. He was on chemo, he didn't fancy eating food, but we managed to get Jason's green juices down him, and it alleviated the sickness from the chemo rounds that he was doing. So for that, Jason, I'm truly thankful, because that really did see him through that. So moving forward, we then had our second child, and then our third child come along. And
it was up in you, was it?
Yeah, no. So it was but then what happened in between that time? The financial crisis happened. I worked in the financial markets. All the strings were being, like regulations were coming in. Banks were merging, we were merging, and it just got tougher and tougher and tougher. And it just dawned on me one day that I was just a number on a sheet of paper that went up and down the scale. That one day, I might have been a hero on a desk that made a load of money, and the next day, I was looking over my shoulder to think, am I going to get a tap on the shoulder today? Yeah. And then it's just, I just thought,
very
you know what?
Stressful.
Yeah, I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning. My choice. I drove to London, but that was my own bit of me time. Drove into Canary Wharf, drove home at night, but difference being at night time, everyone was leaving at the same time. Yeah. So in some cases, it would take me as long to get out the car park in the evening as what it would to drive into work in the mornings. And an opportunity come along. There's a bit of rejigging on the desk and stuff, and an opportunity arose for voluntary redundancy. So I spoke to Andrew and I said, look, it's now or never. I haven't got a backup plan at the moment. I really don't know what I want to do.
It's a really brave move.
Yeah, but I don't want to do this anymore, because it's making me really, really unhappy. And it's a tough thing to do, because, the sensible thing to do would be to just put up and shut up.
Or play it safe and not reach for that space shuttle.
No, exactly. So, but, I just kept coming back and thinking, it's just one life, and at least I don't want to be at 70 or whatever and looking back and saying, what if? So we took the plunge. I managed to ask Andrew really politely whether I could take a few months off, which covered the summer months of the holiday. So we bought an old caravan. We just did a bit of touring around sort of Cornwall and stuff, and just reconnected with the kids as well. Really
nice.
So that was lovely. I then dug out my CV, and it was on an old typewritten bit of paper, and it was awful, pretty much. In my industry that I was in, we just moved around companies. So you'd get you go down the pub, speak to somebody from a rival company. If your line list lined up with what they were looking for, then you had a job. So I've never had to really go through a proper interview process, and the thought of doing that made me feel physically sick. And I sent off my CV to a professional to get rejigged. It came back, and it still was all, it was all pointing me back in the same direction. So I looked at some franchises. Nothing really ticked the boxes again. As you say, it didn't really sort of get the juices flowing. And then all of a sudden we found ourselves, it was in December. So I'm thinking, my goodness, well, let's get Christmas out of the way and let's really crack on with finding a job and, you know, getting it sorted in the new year, because that's obviously the usual time everyone
New
goes
year,
back
new
to.
you.
Yeah. So, but then I was sitting there, and it was the 23rd of December, and it was 12 minutes past, well, at that time it was about 9:30 at night, and there was an advert on the TV, and it was for the co-op, where a young lad goes to the freezer to get some, and they've got no ice in there, and they're apparently going to have a party, these guys. So he goes outside, and he sees his elderly neighbour comes to the door opposite with his shopper on wheels, and the pavement's frozen over, and they started playing the bolero music, and this youngster goes skating past on the pavement, and the old boy just shakes his head, goes back in and shuts the door. And then the next scene, you see the guy in the co-op, and he's filling up a bag, and he remembers this neighbour, so he fills up a bag of groceries for him, and then leaves it on his doorstep, does a knockdown ginger, presses the doorbell, and off he goes, and the old guy has got his nice bag. So that really, it resonated with me, because back in the summer, when I was on my sort of gardening leave type bit, I'd done a little bit of community work around the village, and I come across the guy.
You're putting in the foundations of
Secret Hamper. So I come across the guy a couple of streets away. We were trying to get some signatures. We've got some church rooms up the road that we were trying to get some lottery funding for. And I just put my hand up and said, I don't mind going to get some signatures and stuff to meet the criteria. And I come across this guy, and he was all on his own. And I ended up spending, instead of getting like 30 odd signatures, I got one, and spent my afternoon chatting to him. Nice. So it was, you know, he was a lovely old guy, and you know, it was just nice. He was lonely, just wanted something to have a chat to, and we had a nice afternoon just chatting, and that reminded me of him. So I jumped in the car, didn't even tell Andrea where I was going. I just jumped in the car. I think she was upstairs sorting the kids out at the time, and I come back, and it was, you know, 10:15 by this stage, because it's literally just round the corner, and I was like a drowned rat, and it's because absolutely tonking it down with rain. And she said, "Where have you been?" Yeah, and I said, "Oh look, there's an advert on the telly. It's just made me, and it's just, and I feel alive. I feel like I've got a purpose. I know what I want to do." And I said, "I want to share that feeling that I've just had with others." So I think there's lots of people out there just going through the day-to-day motions. And I'm not saying that everyone's got to jump up and go down to the local supermarket and buy a bag of stuff and leave it on their doorstep.
Or skate and do the bolero.
Yeah, but whatever that thing, that vehicle that is to, you know, for you to do that, whether that inspires you to, you know, maybe make that move and, you know, try a new job, or, you know, ask that person out, or whatever it might be, that just, you know, whatever it might be, you know, is your thing kind of. But for me, that was the sort of tipping point.
That was a catalyst.
Yeah, a catalyst and because it was Christmas time, there was lots of talk about secret Santas, and I just thought, oh, well, how would it be if we could have like a secret hamper? And the initial idea behind it was that you could send that anonymously to somebody. So let's just say there might have been a family rift, or, you know, like, or somebody might have lost their job, and, you know, they're living like literally week to week, and if you went round and said to them, look, mate, here's 50 quid.
Yeah.
Pride will take over, and they'll probably say, no, I'm fine.
You're right, you're right.
Yeah, they'll close the door and think, oh my God, I could have done with that. So initially, we just set up some boxes, and we didn't have any wicker baskets or anything like that at the time. It was just a plain cardboard box, and it was just full of everyday essentials. Because, you know, I used to work, as I say, in the city. I had clients that I used to send stuff to, and, you know, some of those hampers, they were just like full of fillers. You know, there was nothing in there of any substance as such. So, no, let's have a hamper for all, to say. And so we had ones for like new parents, which we just for like nappies and wet wipes. There'd be a meal.
Your kind of practical gifts that someone can use.
All the way through to my favourite, in actual fact, which is the care home hamper, and that is just purely cake and biscuits, and we've got the option of adding a nostalgic CD, which can help unlock memories for people that suffer with dementia. We've had some amazing stories come back from some care homes, and one of which is featured in Jason's book, is a lady that was in care, into a care home, but she was very, felt intimidated, alone, and quite scared. You know, she was at a real low point in her life, and she'd actually, I don't know whether it was manufactured that she won this hamper. I can't answer that. All I know is that we took her when we were launching the business, we gave away some freebies. We went to this care home, and one of the managers said, "Look, we want to use this as a prize for an event we've got coming up. Is that all right with you?" And I said, "Absolutely."
Yeah, definitely.
So he said, "Look, I'll keep you in touch with who wins, and I'll even do a little blog about it." And true to his word, he did. And this lady won it, and she actually used it as a tool to make new friends. So she plucked up the courage to come out of her room. Went down to the communal area and gave everything out and made loads of friends. And
which changed the environment
absolutely
from that day on.
Yeah. So I mean, that's crazy just from watching the TV ad. Yeah. So we want to, you want to replicate that. Absolutely, yeah. And of course, there's nothing to stop people doing that themselves, going online to any company and buying that kind of thing. But what we want to try and build into that experience and that storytelling and that ethos.
Perfect example. Yeah. Perfect example.
So
love it.
Yeah, thank you.
So if you can remember, your favourite word was family. Can you use it in a sentence? Yeah,
I think that I think everything I do and what I aspire to be is to hopefully inspire my family and like the children, to understand that if you want the nicer things in life, or not everything's on a plate, because it's different. From when I was when I was a child, it was a lot different to what it is nowadays, and it worries me sometimes what the next generation of kids are going to grow up to want to be, because there is, again, getting back to that social media question, there's so much that people just think they can go on YouTube, create a video, and there are millions. But there's a massive skills gap, and with everything that's going on. I mean,
is anything going on then?
Yeah, but I don't want to get into politics or anything like that. But there's I think people forget that we are a really, really talented country, and we've got so much to offer. And that's a whole different agenda. But
that's next week.
But there's so much that we can offer, and I just want my family and predominantly my children. Ultimately, it'd be lovely for them to. I mean, my eldest Gracie, she's 9 now, and on the back of this, she's been to work with me a few times in the school holidays, and she's done public speaking in front of crowds of people in London, and met a few celebs and stuff herself. But it's
Gracie.
Yeah, but it's just really helped with her
confidence.
And so it's amazing when you see that from that idea. But I mean, family really, in the centre of family is everything. Yeah.
And can you make it rhyme?
What, family?
Yeah.
I don't know. Family is everything to me. Does that rhyme? It doesn't really, does it? No,
He'll practice.
I'm not really a poet,
practice.
as you can probably see. I'm more of a roses are red, violets are blue type of guy.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Go with your instincts, I think, and not be guided. Be guided by others, but don't just because someone says it won't work.
Yeah, or you can't do it.
No, it's just it's not. That's just their opinion. Yeah. Because I could have been Tim Peake.
Yeah.
And
that sometimes can be motivation in it when someone says you can't do something, it's not going to work. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to, and it will.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the best thing anyone's ever done for you? Probably the bloke or the girl that made the co-op ads.
Possibly in the business sense, maybe that, yes, the person that took, made that advert. In my personal life, it's probably Andrea saying yes. So lovely, then being understanding and letting me go on this journey, because it's bloody stressful, and it's not easy at all. And for giving us 3 wonderful kids. So
love that. Yeah. What's been your career defining moment? And I think you might have probably answered that, actually. I think you had that light bulb moment where you thought, actually, my life can be bigger than currently what I'm doing right now.
I think the reality of it is that nothing is an overnight success, and there's lots of things out there that are a bit misguiding, where you'll get some guy pictured in front of a jet with a massive Rolex on and a big wad of money and a Ferrari, saying, "Oh, look at this."
The Wolf of Wall Street.
But even that, it's just like do your Facebook marketing like this and blah blah blah. But then you know, see how I made my millions, and it's only going to cost you £2 a month. And it's like, hang on a sec, you know. So, but yeah, I think
it's got to be authentic as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you're putting your content out on social media, I think people are really seeing you and they're seeing the story behind the brand. And for me, that's what marketing's all about, is being really kind of true to yourself and true to the purpose of your company, and kind of really tapping into that. And I think when people see that on social, it resonates with them in a way that promos just don't anymore.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you know, there are lots of businesses out there that talk the talk but don't walk the walk, as it were. So I mean, you know, I'm not at a stage yet where we can, you know, give away millions of pounds of profit and stuff like that, but eventually it'd be lovely to have.
That's what you're aspiring to.
Absolutely.
Give back, isn't it?
And you know, that's what we try and do with everything that we do, and why we do these initiatives. Like, you know, when we first started the business, advertising and try and get the name out there was really expensive, and I didn't know anything. You know, I didn't know how much it was to go in a magazine and stuff like that. And then, lucky enough, a friend of mine invited me to a networking meeting, and she didn't tell me that I had 60 seconds to stand up and talk, so that was a bit of a shock. But it made me get up, and it was.
Once you've done once, and
it wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't perfect by a country mile. But what happened at that event was that I got to meet somebody that was a fundraiser for a charity, a local hospice, and that kind of was our sort of almost like a catalyst to get us going and send us down this sort of path where. You know, on that, I spoke to Debbie, and she said, look, we're doing this £50 challenge, and they give you a £50 note, and you've got 3 months to try and turn it into as much money.
We're doing that. If anyone else wants to join in, it's a really great challenge.
Yeah, well, she said, you know, what is your business then? So I told her, and at that time, the business hadn't launched, and the website was in beta mode, and she went, well, look, it's fantastic you want to get involved, but all we ask is that you give us that £50 back at the end of it. Because I said, look, well, we'll see what we can do. So I had this idea that we'll get in touch with Banksy, the the artist, and we're going to get a picture of Kitchener saying, you know, we want you, wearing one of our infamous sort of green masks, and saying, I want to help you. So it took me 6 weeks to find someone that was legitimate to answer on his behalf to say he doesn't do that kind of thing. So we're 6 weeks in by this stage, and I think, oh, you know, crap, you know, how are we going to do this? So I had a few other different ideas, and then I had this idea that why don't we actually get businesses to sponsor a space on the van? So I had this van. We're going on a tour to launch the business and give away some freebies to care homes, maternity wards, animal rescue centres, and universities. And we just thought, while we're touring around, we might pick up a bit of media coverage. Shall we, you know, if we have people on the van, we can advertise them. So we end up with 74 businesses on the van, and with the gift aid thing, just over £4,000. So
that's how to do it.
Yeah, so that was pretty amazing.
Very good. If you want a big award of some kind, who do you thank?
Family again. It'd have to come back to them, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing it. So, yeah.
Can you give us a time saver of the day?
Time saver of the day. I'd say that's a
good one.
It is a good one. I have to think about that.
Don't spend too long.
No, exactly. Yeah, don't spend too long procrastinating on answering questions.
There you go. Where do you see your company in 24 months?
I'd like to see that we've completed our NHS initiative. We've done 70 hospitals around the UK. We're moving forwards with other initiatives, and we're sort of closer to our goal of I really want to develop an app that could take the business international. Brilliant. And, you know, send around an act of kindness at a touch of a button. So that's where I'd like to be heading.
And 24 months ago, was you stuck on the A13?
No, because I took redundancy back in May 2015. So 24 months ago,
Jan 2017.
17. We'd have just had our first sort of 6 months of sort of trying to find our feet. So it was right. Okay.
Yeah, we're doing it.
What's happening now?
This.
We've got to crack on.
What's an interesting fact about your company?
We've been to number 10, so that's pretty cool.
We're going there tomorrow.
No, well, no. But we went to number 10. Part was fortunate enough that we were one of 3 Essex businesses chosen to be part of Small Business 100 last year, or no, the year before last now, because we're in 2019. So they basically, you've got your own individual day, a countdown of 100 businesses all the way to the 1st or 2nd of December, whatever that first Saturday was. And just before that, those 100 businesses got invited to number 10 for a reception. So we got to go there. Nice. So that was, going in that iconic address where history is being made, and, some dodgy decisions or whatever. But we went there, and that was just an amazing thing to do. And funny enough, we got invited back again this year, but next door to number 11, where we got to meet Philip Hammond, Chancellor of Exchequer, and Matt Hancock, Secretary of State, which I got to talk to him about my NHS 70 campaign. And in actual fact, back end of last week, we got a nice email from Matt's office wishing us all the best for our NHS campaign. I mean, that guy's got plenty of things going on. So he's got a bit of a to-do list. Yeah, so to actually take a time out to send us an email to wish us all the best is quite something, really. So I was really chuffed about that. Your family must have been very proud. Yeah, thank you. If you could have a 24-minute Skype with anyone living or dead, who would it be? Well, if it was the deceased, it would be my dad, I think. Just to talk to him about the grandchildren more than anything else. Not really about the business. I mean, he always did say he was a hands-on man, and he taught me how to do a bit of carpentry and stuff like that and DIY. So, whenever I do a bit of a DIY job, I've got my dad's old toolkit outside and I use some of his bits. But I think really it would be to say what's happened, but also really just to chat to him about the kids and stuff, because he never saw them. Yeah. So. And what's one word you'd want people to describe you with? Genuine, I think, or genuine. Yeah. And would you mind taking a selfie for us? Maybe you can do that later. Yeah. So. Right. What's your favourite Twitter handle or social media campaign? At the moment, for us, selfishly, it would be our NHS 70 tag. In the past, there's a really good one, and if any other smaller businesses are watching this, I really encourage you to take part. It's the Theo Papitis, ex-Dragon's Den. Yeah. He runs a Twitter competition on a Sunday night between 5 and 7:30, hashtag SBS, so Small Business Sunday. He chooses 6 of his favourite businesses each Monday night, and then he'll retweet those to his 500,000 following. So he's not endorsing you as such, but what he's trying to do is give you a wider audience. So that helped us, and what also happens is that helps your following grow. You never know who you might tie up with and who might see that tweet. Plus, he puts on an event once a year in Birmingham that he sort of facilitates and everything. You get to meet other like-minded businesses. The first timers, you get to have a picture done with Theo and a certificate. And for our first time, it was actually my daughter's birthday. So I was in the doghouse a little bit because I was up in Birmingham, and I thought, you know what, but it was I'd have had to wait another year for that thing. So you'd have had to wait another year for her birthday, though. Well, exactly, but she had a little tea party and her friends were here, so I don't think I was missed, and I managed to get back in time as well. So we'll let you off. Yeah. So, but the positive that came from that is that, again, you don't ask, you don't get ethos, and he said that a lot when he was on stage. And he's pretty black and white. He'll just tell you the way that it is. So I queued up for my photograph, and when it got to my turn, he said, "Oh, what's all this about?" Because I had my branded T-shirt on, and I said, "What we do?" And I said, "Look," I said, "Don't mind me asking." I said, "When you was on stage, you said, you don't ask, you don't get." And he went, "Oh, bloody hell." He said, "What do you want?" kind of thing. He said, "I knew that was going to bite me on the bum." and he's probably expecting me to try and go on the Dragon's Den. And I said, "Look, Valentine's Day is 2 weeks away. Why not show Mrs. Papitis your caring side? Ditch the champagne and flowers this year. Spend the same amount of money, and we'll send them into a care home of your choice." And he went, "You know what?" He said, "I like that." Yeah. He said, "I like that a lot." So we swapped details. I spoke to this was on the Friday. I spoke to his PA on the Monday, and she said, "Look, we're talking about it on the way back from the event. He doesn't actually have anything to do with the elderly, but he's a patron of a children's hospice. Can we do something for them?" I said, "Absolutely." So that's what we did. We put together 12 bespoke hampers for the kiddies. of shooting star chase down in Surrey. We've got pulled in a couple of favours. We've got some nice milkshakes from Shake and Udder, and also the guys over at Micro Scooters donated some scooters, because people often forget that these kids, when they get visited by mum and dad, siblings of some come along, and it's tough on them too. And so these scooters for the kids that are well enough, they were there for me to use, and also when the siblings come to visit,
family can be
they can go out and use them around the grounds, because often they're there for a lot. So he was, I think he was quite taken aback by that, because he can quite easily, through his foundation, support lots of charities and this. And obviously we're not a charity; we're just facilitating different ideas and trying to do things tangible. And what. So he, I tweeted him on Valentine's morning, so look, made the delivery. The fundraising manager at the home was amazing. She was brilliant. She put on one of her little superhero masks and got on a scooter. That was Karen Sugarman. She was a lovely lady. And
nice work for you.
So and I tweeted Fiona and said, look, we've done this. I said, it's all delivered safe and sound. And he went, that's amazing. He said, I'm glad I could hopefully brighten the day of these young kids and have a great day. And for him to do that and not cost him a lot of money, but have that positive impact was quite something. And we've kind of kept in touch since then. He does actually retweet a fair bit, so
we love that.
He's a really genuinely decent bloke, and he should really be, I think, running for government.
This is your challenge if you choose to accept it.
But in all seriousness, it's when you've got people like that out there that have
reached
they've reached the point in their careers where they can kind of give back in those kind of ways. And I'd encourage any business to give it a go. Tell him why you should pick your business, and you never know.
Some great advice there for small businesses and entrepreneurs that are looking to reach a wider audience. So what's one quote that defines your work ethic?
Graft. I think, it's just, there's no get rich quick scheme. I'm sorry to say, guys. You might see people out there with these fancy adverts that we said before, but it's hard graft, and that is it. I've ditched the 9 to 5 or 7 to 5 for the 24/7, and when I didn't know that. When I started a business, I knew it wasn't going to be a walk in the park, but it is, you never switch off, and that is part and parcel. If you want to do that, and I've made my bed, and when you see the impact, especially with the NHS one, when you turn up at a hospital en masse with 70 boxes that have been sponsored by, potentially up to 70 businesses or individuals for that fact, and the contents reach 2,000 to 3,000 people, and it creates a buzz around that hospital, and you get nurses burst into tears. That's powerful, and that's
that makes it all worth
it. Does and that's just a small part of what we want to do. That is.
It's just a start as well, isn't it?
And that's just that. Again, we watched the program last year. The NHS is a program about our NHS. We had a situation where our youngest boy Harry, it turned out he was the waters had dispersed. So we went in for a routine checkup, and they called Andrew in and said, look, baby's going to have to come out a few weeks early. And then when they performed the C-section, the placenta was in the wrong place, and all of a sudden it turned into a major op. And, if it wasn't for the care and the skills, that outcome could have been totally different. So, for us to, it was the right thing to do. And I think, in this day and age, these guys see things on a day in, day out basis that the likes of you and I would never want to see, and they have to carry that baggage around with them, because unfortunately it's not always a good outcome.
Heroes, absolutely.
Absolute heroes. So for a small amount of money, you could have a massive impact, and if we can achieve that goal, the first few are going to be tough. We know that because we get the word out, but as it grows, it could be like a domino effect, and we might even get a few big businesses that come and say, you know what, this is what we're going to do for our CSR budget this year. We're going to sponsor an entire hospital. We don't know.
Any big businesses listening right now? That's what we want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's been the best part of your day?
Waking up, I think, and doing this interview. This has been really good. It's really flowed.
That never gets boring here.
No, I think, but no 2 days are the same anymore. You make you do make your own luck, and it's not going to come knocking. You have to go out there, knock on doors, make those awkward phone calls, get past those.
Get out of your comfort zone.
You do, and you know what? You do have to get it. I mean, I could talk all day about getting out of my comfort zone since doing this, from dressing up as a superhero, handing out leaflets at mainline rail stations where ex-colleagues would be going into work, and I'm stood in a man-made, like a homemade superhero suit, thinking in my brain, what on earth am I doing? But you know, you've got to stand out from the crowd. If I just launched my business as an off-the-shelf type hamper business, you'd disappear into the ether. And I'm not saying that we're well known or this, that, and the other yet, but we are.
You've got a unique voice, haven't you?
Yeah, and you know, we're getting noticed, as I say, like the likes of Jason. Jason's book. So this really, this just goes to proof. So here is Jason Bell's.
I'll be your Debbie.
Yes, yeah, please. So this book here, I bought when my dad was poorly, and in there it was in 2007, which was the year that sadly my dad was poorly and we lost him. But in there, in one of the chapters at the very front, he says about creating magic, and that unbelievable to think that, you know, 11 years down the line, this book comes out and it's actually called Create Magic. So this must have been part of the master plan. But we're in Jason's book. We're in the section of ripple of magic, because that's what actually happened. It was a ripple effect from sending. There we go, in that bit there, ripple of magic, from sending or replying to a tweet from Jason one Sunday morning. One thing led to another, and we're now featured in that book. So, you know, that is brilliant. You know, it's just, I couldn't have asked for a better early Christmas present, really.
I think if you go to Juice Master, you can get a copy of that book. Well worth the read.
Absolutely, and at the moment, what he's done as well is linked up with Hello Magazine. So if there's some about, so if you go into any of the sort of high street chains like WH Smith's or supermarkets, you've got to get the one with a polymer bag. But there is a copy of this for free in Hello Magazine this month. So instead of it being like $8.99, it's only going to be sort of, you know, £2.20, whatever it is, with the Hello Magazine. So.
Well, I've already covered this, but anything to plug? I think I want to say businesses.
Well, yeah, I mean,
link in with Nigel.
Yeah,
see
please.
How you can get involved.
Yeah, businesses all around the UK. As I say, we're on our third hospital at the moment. We're 30 in for Birmingham. We're aiming to deliver 70 hampers on the 1st of February. So we've only got a couple of weeks to go. I need to get that really sort of wrapped up in the next sort of 10 days, because I need to order some of the stuff that goes in there, because it's made bespokely for these boxes. But it's just 70 quid. It's not a lot of money for a business, and we've had instances where some businesses have bought multiples of, so they've bought 10, like Jason bought 10 last time for Newcastle. We've had instances where some work at home mums want to get involved because they've had positive experiences with the labour wards and stuff like that, and there's been a group of 7 of them that have put £10 in each, and they've been, so you can happen that way. We've got GoFundMe. I've set up GoFundMe pages as well, so we're very mindful of the fact that there may be some individuals out there that would love to get involved, but £70 price tag's a bit, it's a bit much, and we understand that. So if you wanted to contribute, and whatever you want to do, you can do it via GoFundMe. We've got a big list of the hospitals. I think we've got about 15 in the pipeline, but the goal for this year would be amazing to reach 70, because you work on the fact that we're reaching 2,500 to 3,000 people per hospital when we deliver. So there's up to 4,000 products in those boxes. It's a lot of
life that you can touch.
Yeah, and as I say, it's just that gesture of that show of appreciation that can go a long way. And especially with this book being in the all the hampers too, when they get that sort of 5 minutes respite in the staff room during the day when they've had a tough day, they can just come in, read a couple of paragraphs of this and go out feeling re-energized and re-inspired. So it's a lot more than what it is. You know what I mean? There's a lot more to it. So we could literally talk all day.
we could, but we won't.
No, sorry.
Great to
thank you.
be with you.
Thank you very much. No, thank you. That's brilliant. See you guys.